Hey everybody, David Nagel here. Boy, do I have a treat for you today. Alex Cattoni, the owner and the author of Copy Posse. You're going to learn about marketing, you're going to learn about writing copy, and you're going to learn the secrets behind AI. Come on in and give it a listen.
You're listening to the Successful Mind Podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them. I'm David Nagel, and this is the Successful Mind Podcast. Hey everybody, David Nagel here. Welcome to another episode of the Successful Mind Podcast. We have a very special guest here today. Alexandra, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. Big fan of you and the work that you do. I am Alex Cattoni, founder of the Copy Posse, what I call the raddest, baddest crew of copywriters and entrepreneurs on the internet. Essentially, I help copywriters and entrepreneurs level up their messaging with words that work.
And I hear that the other thing that I got was that you de-douchify the internet. Is that correct?
I should have said that first. Yes, my mission is to de-douchify the internet. I think anyone listening to this who is an entrepreneur, has been online for a while, marketing. I've been in this whole world for about 15 years, and there's definitely a divide in the industry. I think between the copywriters and marketers and entrepreneurs who are really out there selling great products and services that genuinely help people. And there's a whole lot of people who like to take advantage of everybody else. And so it is my mission to change modern marketing, redefine what marketing really means, and in the process, de-douchify the internet.
I love that. And I was thinking about you today. I had to go to our office, and then I came back and I was thinking about when I was reading your bio and everything. And I wanted to mention, there's something very poignant about what you said, because when I first started in this industry, I was so passionate about what I was teaching. And, I had a vision for myself and a vision for the people that I was going to reach, and when I started to get into learning the business of what I do, because I knew nothing, right? I came out of the petroleum industry. I knew nothing about this industry other than I went to seminars for 7 years, and that was in the early 90s, right? So it was a very different world back then. To learn, I knew nothing about the other side, right? About the other side of the curtain. And when I started to go to seminars to learn about the business aspect of it, and I was going to like Dan Kennedy events back in the day and everything, I was shocked from kind of an immature perspective about the people that were in that room, because it's exactly what you just said. You had amazing people in that room, and then you had really slimy people in that room. And I don't think I was aware of just how many of the slime were actually out there. People just, they don't care what they say or what they do. And it was so bad for a few years. I kept thinking to myself, do I really want to head in this industry? Because at that time, there was not as many ethical people and empathy people really doing copywriting, marketing. And I thought, I don't want to be that. There has to be a way to do this without actually being that kind of a person in marketing and sales. I've never believed in it, but I think because I came from a world growing up on the streets of Chicago, being in the petroleum industry, selling gas and diesel fuel, working with other truck drivers and union operators and construction equipment. There was always this kind of vibe that, it was okay to do things a little unethical if it meant for you to get ahead. And that was a big conflict, like in my heart, that was a conflict. And I wanted to know that you could actually succeed in life without having to do that, So it was interesting that you mentioned that, because I know that, I mean, now I know much different than I did then.
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I think the internet has played a big role in is also bringing out the ethical people, giving them a voice, giving them a place to stand out, and to do something that you do extraordinarily well that I don't do well. Right? I am not a copywriter. I'm not a direct print ad marketer in any way. I'm fantastic at sales and selling from the stage and all of that. And it's also one of the places in the businesses that we help build where we see people have one of their weakest places, right? In being able to write copy, do it effectively, understand it, be able to build out those cycles and the strategies that work. And so you said you've been in this for 15 years now, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned people like Dan Kennedy. I mean, I learned from Dan Kennedy as well. I mean, not in the 90s, but not that far after that.
Yeah.
And
now he's a genius.
He's a genius. And that was my foray into the world of marketing, learning from people like Dan Kennedy and Gary Halpert and John Carlton and all of these copywriting and marketing legends. And I learned this superpower. And on the flip side of that, 15 years ago, I accepted an internship at Mindvalley, which at the time was a tiny little startup. And now it's, one of the leading personal growth publishers. So I kind of found this sweet spot, that really I feel has paved the way for my business, which was right in between personal development and online marketing. And, to your point about seeing the difference in the way people were showing up online. I remember being so jaded at one point because I had left Mindvalley as the creative director at the time. So started as an intern, left as the creative director, was going out there into the world to start my business and to help people like you, personal development coaches and speakers and authors, change the world with their words. And I ended up in so many different scenarios where I'm thinking, man, there's a lot of BS that I'm seeing everywhere. And I was jaded. I thought maybe I meant to go back and be a lawyer, which was my initial plan. And that was part of my mission to start the Copy Posse. And you spoke to something that I often talk about. And here's why I think it's such a great opportunity for people right now is, I still love direct response marketing. When I talk about direct response marketing, that is the foundation of what I learned. But what used to work really well, which was all about like buying that lead, getting the eyeballs, getting the conversion, getting the sale. If they didn't buy from you in the first 7 days, sayonara, you're dead to me. It doesn't matter. You're not going to buy. That whole model is completely shifted because people are no longer buying in linear fashion. They're going and, maybe seeing an ad, but then they're going and following you on Instagram, and then they're going and checking you out on YouTube or your podcast, or maybe they click a link in your email and then they sign up for something a week later and then they buy from you 3 months later. And so I think this is the shift that's happening in the marketing world right now. And it's putting the power back into the people who genuinely love what they do, because it is the people who have always just been I'm just going to try to make a quick buck. And if they don't convert, oh my God, doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep grinding and grinding and grinding. Their stuff's working less well now. So they're freaking out. Meanwhile, the people who have actually taken the time to create content and are showing up on multiple platforms, they're seeing a lot of wins. And it's because people are now savvy to what marketing is. It's no longer you see a squeeze page or a landing page and you're like, what? They want me to put in my email? Why? Okay. Everyone knows what marketing is now. And so people are taking longer to buy. And that's a huge opportunity for, people like you and the people you're talking about, David, who are in it for the right reasons. And I'm excited because I think the power is shifting in a really cool way.
What was it? And I just want to back up for a second. What was it that caused you from wanting to be an attorney to get into this industry? I don't know that story.
Yeah. I mean, the story was I'm sure many doctors, lawyers, I have a twin brother. He is a doctor. And growing up, we came from a very academic family. The path forward was if you're really smart, you're a doctor or a lawyer. If that doesn't work out, you can always be an accountant or, it was you have these boxes, of jobs that make sense. I remember in university, I was studying business law. This was in my Bachelor of Commerce. So it was my quote unquote pre-law, thinking, okay, I'm learning contract law. That was my major, business contract law. And I would go home at night and I would watch DVDs of Sex in the City. And I remember thinking to myself, what in the world? This is such garbage. Who could just sit on their laptop in their little, apartment or in cafes and write for a living? Like, that's impossible. But I was obsessed with this idea of like marketing and copy. And honestly, I have to give credit to my stepdad, who is an entrepreneur. And when it came to our career choices, he always kind of like just watched and nurtured. And my mom is very academic. And so I kind of thought, well, I guess I'm going to be a lawyer. And that makes sense. My brother was in med school. It just made sense, And then my stepdad, I don't even know if he really knows this, but one morning, so I had finished my undergrad degree and I had moved back home with my parents to serve at a steak restaurant and study for the LSAT, thinking, I'm going to take a gap year, make some money, move in with mom and dad again. Like, oh my gosh. So I would go to my shift and I'd come home and I would start studying for the LSAT. And I had these textbooks. And I just remember thinking to myself, God, I hate this so much. Like, what am I getting myself into? And my stepdad one morning, he's like, about a few words, but he slipped a newspaper article, I think it was like an actual newspaper, under my bedroom door. And it was just a headline that read, attorneys have the highest depression rate amongst all professions. It was like his way of saying to me, are you sure you want to do this? And if you don't, like, you have permission not to. Wow. And that's what sent me on this path of going, well, I don't know what I want to do, but I knew I wanted to travel. So I had spent the last year of my undergrad living in Vienna and studying and living abroad. And somehow through the magic of the internet, I discovered Mindvalley and applied for an internship. And that was in Malaysia. So that it was like, next thing you knew, selling my car, getting rid of all my stuff and moving to Malaysia.
Man, that's a big change, huh? It's all culture shock there for sure.
Especially for a 23-year-old who like grew up in the Rocky Mountains, it's like, it was everything. Culture shock, climate shock, everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell me again, how long were you at Mindvalley?
3.5 years.
3.5 years. So it sounds like there was a transformation that took place in you there. What was that?
I think it was the environment. I mean, coming from a pretty small town city in Alberta, Canada, where, everyone was kind of going through the motions and doing what was expected of them in terms of going to school, getting, regular jobs and all that, all of a sudden being transported into this entrepreneurial community, like-minded people, all kind of within my age, like a little bit older. I think that was the biggest thing. I think it was like, wow, eye-opening to what is possible and putting me so far outside my comfort zone. I mean, I thought about giving up and moving home so many times, but that was the first thing. And then I think I was hungry and I had this mindset of, I'm only an intern. I'm only here for 6 months, because my whole plan was just to go there for 6 months, then go back to being a lawyer. Like I would, get it out of my system and then I would move back and get a real job. And so I think I just had this kind of, I'm just going to go for it. And I learned as much as I could. I was doing pay-per-click ad writing and customer service. And I was just like, anything they wanted me to do, I was doing. So just the learner mentality of like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just the intern. I can't really mess it up that bad. I think it was almost, they worked in my favor. Like, what does the intern know, And I really just dove in and learned. And then I think I kind of got it and something clicked for me. And I just kept raising my hand when new opportunities would arise. It's like, who wants to take on this? I'll do it. Like, no idea what I was doing, but say yes and figure it out, as they say. So that was a big part of it.
And I guess you were enjoying what you were doing. Yeah. It spoke to you different than being an attorney.
Yeah. Again, it was like, oh, people can, like, first of all, making money online. Like, what? That was like, that was mind blowing. But then I was also attending seminars. Like I remember one of my first Unleash the Power Within conference in Singapore. And so I was just curious as could be, and just was introduced to all of these new concepts that I knew nothing about, and just kind of embodied it. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, marketing, copywriting came kind of actually later, to be honest. I first really dove into marketing. And then when I left Mind Valley, that's where I focused. But then I saw such a need for copywriters that I just started sort of doing it, not really ever owning the fact that I was one, but would do it for my clients until I finally accepted the fact that actually maybe I can do this. But marketing specifically, I just saw as like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what I'm meant to do.
Cool. And then, so when you left Mind Valley, did you start off on your own, or did you work for somebody else then, or what did you do?
No, I quit cold turkey, had some savings, moved to Vancouver, the most expensive city in North America. Really smart idea. And it was go time. I thought I'm going to give myself a few months until I'm out of money. And I thought worst case scenario, I could go get a job at the Starbucks across the street. And, at least that way I'm making some money. But I was really dedicated and committed to making it work. And so I fully started my freelance business at that point. And the biggest game changer for me was, I was in Malaysia for so long, but I did make some contacts and kind of learned about the industry. And so I started going to events. I remember going to Joe Polish's I Love Marketing event. I was at Brendan Burchard's event in Palo Alto that year. I mean, I was just like, get me in rooms with the people that I want to meet. And that was really how I started my freelance business.
That's amazing. Yeah, you're learning from the best there, right?
Yeah.
So then you're there. What's the next stage for you? What happens?
So what happened next was, I started working with clients, and I think like many people, very undercharging, questioning my work, doing piecemeal projects, $500 there, $700 there. But then I met some incredible business owners who would later become, I had one client for over 10 years, who would later become great friends, great clients, and started working with those clients and realizing, oh my gosh, they really do need more marketing support. And then all of them would always ask me, okay, marketing plan is great. Strategy is excellent. Love this funnel. Love the offer. Now, who can write it? Like, do you know a copywriter? And I was always like, no, I don't know a copywriter. Like, I know of Gary Halpert, but I'm pretty sure he passed away. And I didn't know anybody who was writing copy. And so I kind of would say to my clients, like, I can try to do this for you. Of course, at the time, I probably knew just as much copywriting as any of them, because I'd spent years studying it and getting my feet wet at Mind Valley, but more as like a fun, like I can support here, not really being a copywriter. So I just kind of reclaimed the title of it and started writing copy for my clients. And that was how I really kind of shifted into copywriting. And then I did that for 8 years, fully behind the scenes. I think there's a lot of stuff there around why I waited so long. I actually remember a conversation I had with Brendan Burchard, because we were friends and I'd met him. I remember at a Evan Pagan event back in 2010, and he remember him saying to me, I see you like on stages, and the marketing world needs more women on stages. Like, you can do this. And I was just like, yeah, maybe. And I felt like I just really was afraid, like so many people. I was afraid of putting myself out there. I was afraid of calling myself a copywriter and then having real copywriters see me do it. It's this fear of like imposter syndrome and I can't do this and all of that. So for 8 years, I would have told you at the time that like, no, I love my business, and I did. It allowed me the freedom to travel the world, to have my laptop, making multiple six figures. Life was good, but I really knew like I had a deep desire to do more and would see myself, as Brendan would say, on stages and doing all of that. And I didn't really know what that looked like. But in 2019, after thinking about it for a year, I finally decided to start my YouTube channel, talking about all the things we've been talking about, right? Like how I want to change the face of marketing, how I think you can actually be successful and be a decent human being at the same time. Like, fancy that. And then sharing my marketing strategies and copywriting and things like that. And it was a slow build in the beginning. It took me 6 months to reach 1,000 subscribers. A lot of people look at me and they're like, your business came out of nowhere. And I'm like, did it though? Because like, it always seems that way, it always seems that way from the outside. But I was cranking out video content for a long time with hardly anybody watching it. And then the YouTube gods I guess, decided I was worthy and started sending me more eyeballs. But that was really the birth of the Copy Posse, which officially started with my first Copy Posse product and program in January of 2020, which was couldn't have timed that better myself before the whole world went into lockdown and was looking for ways to make money online. So timing was a big one there too.
Timing is a big one. And what would you say in that process when you were feeling inside that you really wanted to be bigger and you could see yourself on stages? What do you think the change was that occurred that allowed you to just say, yes, this is what I'm going to do? Do you know can you identify that?
I think a big part of it was of just sort of asking why not me? You know, because I would see people who I knew had less experience than me starting successful brands and businesses and creating content and gaining authority and followers and all the stuff that, you know, matters, quote unquote, air quotes. But I just remember thinking, like, this whole time I've been telling myself I'm not ready, I'm not qualified. Because, you know, whatever the story we tell ourselves is, I need more information. Like 8 years of experience is not enough. I need at least 10 before I can start. Then people will take me seriously. So I think it was just kind of this, like, I had been thinking about it for so long. And the other thing is, funny when you see yourself through the eyes of others. Like, people would always say to me, like, I love how courageous you are. And I love that you take no shit. And I love, and people would say that to me. And I'd be like, that's not me. What? Like, I felt like I was not in alignment. Like, I had two sides of me. I had like the person that other people saw. And then I had the person inside that didn't feel like she was those things. When the reality was I am those things, but I just had so much self-doubt holding me back. So I think I just finally decided to, like, say, you know, F it. Why not me? I'm going to see what happens. Yeah.
Like, you had to give yourself permission to take that jump, right?
Exactly. And then also, like everyone does, what's the worst case scenario? Okay, worst case scenario is like, I do a bunch of videos, nobody watches them. And then I'm like right back to just my freelancing business. Like, okay, that wouldn't be that bad. You know, it's like, I have to like rationalize it in my head of like, what's the worst that could happen?
So I'm going to jump ahead for a second. I'm getting this question everywhere I go, talking to entrepreneurs, people that work for entrepreneurs. They're terrified of AI.
I knew you were going to say it.
Yeah. And well, I know people that literally got rid of their copywriters and are just using AI. What is your thought on that?
Yeah. So I think no matter what, like, it's AI is coming, AI is here. Yeah. And so I think taking sides isn't an empowering conversation because everyone wants to hear, are you pro AI or are you anti AI? At the end of the day, like, there's a few ways that you can approach it. You can be scared of it and put your head in the sand and say, this is taking over. Oh my God, we're all doomed. Which, let's be honest, that's kind of depressing. Or we can say, hey, okay, this is shifting. This is shifting the landscape. What does that mean for me? And, you know, to people who have replaced their copywriters with AI, like, what I would say to them is, yeah, your copy probably wasn't very good before. And it's probably not much better now. You know, everyone in the world can call themselves a copywriter. That's the beautiful thing about copywriting. It's like a low barrier to entry. I mean, you can watch a YouTube video and go, you know what? Which is ironic because it took me years to finally own that term because of how many, you know, incredible copywriting legends I learned from, but it's unregulated. So it's not like I have a copywriting degree. I don't even know if that exists. Maybe it does now. It didn't when I was going through school. So anybody can call themselves a copywriter. But when I think of copywriting, you know, as I mentioned, it starts with marketing. It starts with the foundational concepts like positioning and strategy and customer awareness and understanding your audience and empathy. And then the copywriting bit is putting words on a page, but words on a page don't mean anything unless you know what the end goal is. And so,
exactly.
Yeah. So I always say AI is an incredible shortcut, but a shortcut is only a shortcut if you know where in the hell you're going.
Exactly.
And so I think it's a big distraction right now. I think a lot of people are acting really rash and they think this is the magic button. I'm going to hire or fire all my copywriters. I think there's going to be a leveling out that happens where people are like, wait a second, this isn't the magic silver bullet that we thought it was for everything that we need.
Yes, I'm so happy to hear you say that, because in my mind, AI is learning from the internet itself, but it doesn't know why it's learning what it's learning. And in order to be a good marketer, like you said, you have to know what you're doing behind it. What's the goal? Who are the people? Who are the clients? How do they buy? How do they think? It's just taking information and putting it into some kind of a sequence, and it doesn't even understand the rhythm of marketing. I don't know how it could understand the rhythm of marketing, because there's so much to pull from. How would it determine what's good and not good?
Yeah, it reminds me of. I read this article the other day. It was in Fortune magazine, and there was a study done by Stanford scientists. And the headline, I mean, it caught my attention. It was, "Is AI getting dumber?" And it talked about how, the new version of ChatGPT, some people are complaining like, wait, it's less effective. And they're actually able to prove it from a math perspective, because before it was able to answer correctly, accurately math problems. I mean, math, it's right or wrong, right?
Right.
Now it's giving inaccurate answers, and the swing in the data was crazy. It went from like being 90% accurate to like, I can't quote the article, but you can Google it and look it up. I don't know exactly what it's, but drastically lower results. And this article and this study said, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like, yeah, the great thing about AI is that it uses human behavior and human input to predict output, and it's a predictive model. The problem is now that millions of people are using it with much lower IQs, mind you, than Stanford scientists, it's like, wait a second, it's being trained on the mass amounts of information. And like, I don't want to use I don't want to make it sound, that people are dumb, but it's like the mass amount of people who aren't using it like brilliant marketers and copywriters would. And so with everything, it's like, wow, let's grain of salt. Is it changing the way we work? Yes. Is it going to become more and more commonplace in our workflows? Yes. Is it going to replace the need for lower, mundane, repetitive tasks? Yes. With that being said, I think it's a great opportunity for people who have important messages to rise to the top, because it's just this like snake eating its own tail right now of crappy content being published online. And just like you can kind of see a photo and know right away that it's AI, people are starting to see that with copy too. It's like you read it and you're like, there's nothing about that that's special, unique, makes me feel any sort of way.
Right.
So for now, I mean, anything could change in the future, but learning what is persuasive and learning marketing and learning copywriting will just make you master the machine even better. It's not taking away from the skills or making you replaceable.
Well, I know that you said, like the idea about people are dumb, but the internet's done something that in all of human history we've never seen, and it's given the stupid a voice. And
yeah, you said it better than I could. Yeah. Well,
but it's true. I mean, here's the thing. In the world that we lived in, you had to fight to have a voice that was heard by the masses. Not just anybody got to stand up with a bullhorn and actually affect large groups of individuals.
Right.
So if there's when you look at how crazy the world actually is right now, a lot of it is because there's really stupid ideas that have gotten into the mainstream. What's done that? The internet has done that. Right. So what you're saying about AI, it cannot tell what's a stupid idea from what's a rational, intelligent idea. I mean, what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying 100%. And the people that want to use AI to substitute from an amazing copywriter, they're doing it for the wrong reasons, right? They don't want to pay. That's what I see in business. People always want to take a shortcut when it's going to cost them money. But they don't realize that when you're spending great money for real talent, it makes all the difference in the world. But then you flood the space with stupid shit, right?
Stupid shit.
and then AI is learning from dumb people. So
yeah,
I don't
it's just more stupid shit.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I think the one question I would ask too is like, what do you think the smartest business owners are doing right now? They're going, oh shit, there's an opportunity now to double down on being human. I love this quote by Carl Krumnacher. I hope that's how I say his last name. He said AI plus HI equals ROI. So, artificial intelligence plus human intelligence equals return on investment. And right now what I'm seeing, and I have so many friends who run massive agencies and who are doing tens of millions of dollars a year in sales and up, and they're doubling down right now on their messaging. And they're doubling down on hiring copywriters, good copywriters who've been trained and understand marketing, not just someone who bought a template online or an AI prompt package and now thinks they're going to, make six figures. Like those people were doomed before too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it cream rises to the top every time. That's what's going to happen. This real successful never follow the crowd. They always blaze their own trail, and they know by experience where other people are going to make really difficult. And part of the problem is that by following AI, if they're heavily relying on the idea of copy, they're not learning the difference between good copy and bad copy. They're taking AI as an authority, and it's not an authority.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah. Yeah. And people can smell it from a mile away. Like I said, the market's getting savvier. Like we all need to remember that, yes, while there are stupid people and stupid shit on the internet, your customers are smart. Treat them like they are, please.
That's right. That's right. They are. And the other thing that you said about they understand marketing now when they didn't before, that's all they're hit with 24 hours a day is marketing, 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 marketing. So anybody that is really thinking is picking up on exactly what it is that's being done to them. And they know people are learning how to think through all of the different marketing schemes that are out there and make more intelligent choices. So it's just not robotic purchasing for them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me, what's your vision? Where are you headed from here?
Ooh, well, on top of building an empathy empire and de-douchifying the entire internet, which might take me a while.
You have a globe on your shoulders.
Yeah. That's really what fires me up. I'm starting to serve more business owners now. So not just copywriters or people who want to become copywriters, but really business owners and coaches and people who are looking to level up in a big way with what I believe is the future of marketing, really changing the way that we have conversations online. Because I always joke now when people say digital marketing, because I'm like, digital marketing is marketing. There's no difference between marketing online or offline these days. And there's a right way to do it. And I think as marketers, we have a superpower that a lot of people don't, and we have the ability to start movements and create change and make an impact in people's lives. And I really want to rally those rad humans together so that we can at least make the internet a slightly better place. And so that's you'll find me over here just doing that. I'm always working on new projects, planning, to possibly do some live events in the future, which is really exciting. Bringing the posse together in real life. And so, yeah, a lot of big goals and excited for everything.
That's awesome. Great for you. Where can, if people want to learn more about you, where can they go?
So best place is copyposse.com. I love Instagram, Copy Posse. So if you want to DM me, if you listen to this and you want to DM me a message, I always hang out in my DMs. And I'm on YouTube as well. I know we mentioned that, but lots of videos on marketing on my YouTube channel.
That's great. That's fantastic. I'm really happy for you. I think you're doing the world a fantastic service. Business owners everywhere need it. And I wish you all the best success in life.
Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure to be on the podcast.
Happy to have you.
All right.
Hey, everybody. I want to thank you for listening. This was a real fun podcast, an interview for me to do because people are really concerned about AI right now. And I think that it gets a little bit overhyped, even though there's some truth. To understand how it actually works in the creative of your business and what you can use it for and what you can't use it for is a really big deal. So I hope you find this educational. Share it with a friend, share it with a business owner, and we'll see you on the next Successful Mind podcast. Bye for now.